game that has defined college football on the West Coast since the Roaring 20s. Today, we renew this great rivalry for the 78th time. One team will play for pride on Senior Day, the other for the Pac-10 title and at least a berth in the Rose Bowl. From Pasadena, it's the 5th-ranked Trojans of Southern California against the UCLA Bruins.
You're watching ESPN on ABC. College football presented by Best Buy. A big crowd here at the Rose Bowl for this intra-city showdown between USC and UCLA. Good afternoon, everybody. Mike Patrick, Todd Blackledge. It's great to have you with us. USC playing for a lot today. Another 11-win season, another Pac-10 title, another Rose Bowl, and mathematically at least still a shot at a national championship. Their offense has been very good all year. Their defense has been incredible.
You know, I get kind of tired of hearing about style points. With this team, how about style no points, as in 3 shutouts and only 10 touchdowns allowed in 11 games. Now, they've got NFL talent at all 3 levels of their defense, but the heart and soul of this SC defense is a trio of senior linebackers that's outstanding. Now, Ray Mawaluga and Brian Cushing are the standbys. They've been there for a few years. But the other guy, Kaluka Mayava, in his first year as a starter, has been every bit as productive. They are fast, they are physical, and they get to the football with a bad mood. Who can forget 2 years ago this Ray Mawaluga hit on the UCLA quarterback?
That still hurts. UCLA is 4-7 this year, and really when you consider all the devastating injuries that they've had, that's really crippled their offense. 4-7 isn't that bad. 2 questions. Do they have a chance today, and how would they do it?
Well, they obviously have a chance. I mean, 1 year ago today, not many people gave Pittsburgh a chance to beat West Virginia. We were at that game. And a similar thing has to happen. They've got to get a little help from USC. I think that Dwayne Walker's defense will play well. They're on a roll the last 3 games, but they must get help from their quarterback, Kevin Kraft. Now, he has had trouble taking care of the football. In the last 4 games, 12 interceptions, 0 touchdowns. That has to change today. For UCLA to have any chance, he has to do a great job, not a good job, a great job of protecting the football.
If you've already seen the uniform colors and want to know what's going on, UCLA wearing its home colors. So is USC. Holly Rowe, what's happening?
Well, back in the early stages of this rivalry, both teams used to share a stadium, so it really was a home game for both teams, so they'd wear their home jerseys. Well, the rules changed in the 1980s, but Pete Carroll said, I just thought it was cool growing up. I wanted to bring back that tradition. So he contacted Rick Neuheisel in the offseason, and they agreed to do it today. Now, it is a rule violation, though, so after the kickoff, you will see referee Brian O'Kane throw a flag and call a timeout against USC. But as a good sport, Rick Neuheisel has already told the referee to immediately charge UCLA with a team timeout. Now, I asked Coach Neuheisel, but what if you need that timeout later in the game? They're a 30-point underdog, and he said, you know what, if it does come down to that, I'll be thrilled.
Holly, maybe we'll have another great moment in this rivalry. There have been plenty of them. In this series, 42-28, there have been 7 ties. They have dominated the recent history, winning 8 of the last 9, going back to that 2006 upset by UCLA, and the only break in the string, and that was a monstrous upset here in the Rose Bowl, 13-9. Coming up on our show today, when we play Did You Know, we'll delve into the history of the Victory Bell and find out how a prank became a tradition. We'll put our resident Heisman voter on the spot. The race for college football's biggest honor comes down to the final day. And Taste of the Town samples fare from south of the border. And Todd proves once again you can find big taste in a little place. And a lot of it, as usual.
Much as you need. I'll tell you what, I want to go back to that report Holly did. I agree with Pete Carroll. I think it's really cool that both teams have their home jerseys. I mean, rule or no rule, this is just a beautiful scene here in the Rose Bowl on the first Saturday in December.
Yeah, I agree totally. I think it's just a wonderful idea. And hopefully they can change the rules to make exceptions for both teams who want to do it so that there won't be a forfeiture of timeouts. Austin is the deep man for David Beeler. We have seen a week ago against Notre Dame what a tremendous kickoff weapon he is.
Well, we're going to see UCLA on offense first, and one thing they're going to try to do in talking with Norm Chow yesterday is try to control the tempo of the game. Slow it down some, speed it up some. But again, the underlying current for them the whole game is take care of the football, and that is on the shoulders of junior quarterback Kevin Kraft.
Beeler, low line drive, didn't get all of that one. Austin fakes the reverse up the middle to the 25, 27-yard line. Now here's referee Brian O'Kane.
Well, we've got one of the starting linebackers for UCLA down on the field right now. That's John Hale.
Failure to wear required equipment by the kicking team. That is a violation. It is a charge timeout, the first of the half for USC. Charge timeout, UCLA. Their first of the half. Those will run concurrently. 30-second timeout.
Sounds like the OJ sentencing. And the crowd showing its appreciation for this.
Well, and not to mention,
it's a great show of sports.
It is, and these are two of the coolest uniforms in all of college football.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, they are two of the best.
You turn it on, you know who's playing.
Yeah.
You think back to all the great memories in this series. And now we'll see if UCLA, which has one of the lowest ranked offenses in college football, can move the ball against the best defense in all of college football. Kevin Kraft been up and down this year, more down than up. 19 picks, 7 touchdowns. His last 4 games, it's gotten even worse. 12 interceptions, no scoring passes. UCLA starting from the 27. Draw play and nothing. Kraft gives it off once again, and Bell plunges forward across the 30 to about the 33. You can check out all the starters across the top of your screen above the scoreboard. UCLA, you get the feeling, must be conservative, avoid the mistakes, because they simply can't afford to fall behind.
No, they can't. And again, turnovers have been their undoing. They're minus 11 for the season, which is 110th in the NCAA. And couple that with the fact that they have had 9 different combinations starting on their offensive line. The good news is, for the second week in a row, they have the same starting 5 up there.
Raymond Carter is into the backfield on 3rd and long. Kraft with a swing to Carter. And he's taken down at the 30-yard line. That'll bring on the punt team as Kerry Harris covered it well from the left corner.
See, the problem that UCLA is going to have is that until USC sees anything otherwise, they are going to squeeze everything on this UCLA offense. They are not going to feel threatened deep because they don't believe UCLA can protect their quarterback. So until UCLA does something to threaten them, they're going to squeeze everything.
Aaron Perez leading the Pac-10 in punting and on his way to a school record at UCLA, kicking to Stephon Johnson. Takes the UCLA bounce inside the 15, out of bounds at the 14-yard line. A 56-yard kick. Perez has had a terrific season for UCLA. And speaking of terrific seasons, Mark Sanchez, 28 touchdown passes, 9 interceptions. He has just been absolutely brilliant behind an offensive line that is not the same offensive line that just destroyed people a year ago. He's had to do a lot on his own, and he's done it.
That line has improved dramatically through the course of the season, but they started with 4 new guys up front.
C.J. Gable gets the start at tailback, gets the first carry, lost the ball. UCLA has it at the 21.
Well, you see the pressure inside. The 2 defensive tackles for UCLA are the best 2 guys on this defense. Brigham Harwell, the senior, and Bryant Price, the sophomore. And that's where the penetration came. Watch inside. Watch Price get into the backfield, and he's going to strip the ball out. C.J. Gable was stretching for extra yardage and not able to get it. Here's Price right here, number 92. Watch the penetration into the backfield. These two tackles set the tempo for the UCLA defense. In the first play from scrimmage, they create a turnover.
UCLA, exactly what the doctor ordered for the Bruins, and they need to take advantage of any mistakes USC made. Now they're going to go back and look at this.
Gable was definitely reaching for extra yardage. The question's going to be, was his knee down before the ball came out? It was ruled a fumble on the field. Ew, he looks like he was close to losing control as that knee was hitting the ground. This will be interesting to see how they rule on this. The ball is loose right there. It's out.
Yeah, it's out.
It was out. It was poked out by Price before the leg hit the ground.
That was a beautiful angle, that second one. It showed you the instant the ball came loose, wasn't covered up by anything, and his knee was definitely not on the ground.
2 years ago, when UCLA upset USC here 13-9, their defense held USC to a total of 55 yards rushing in the ball game.
And boy, you're right about those two tackles. Those guys can play.
We saw them here the first game against Tennessee. I mean, they were the kind of the cornerstone of this defense. And right away, the first play from scrimmage, they make their presence felt.
And there was no way UCLA was not going to get that football. Three blue shirts pounced.
One other guy that was up in the action there was Alteron Werner, who was a cornerback coming on a blitz. He actually got into the backfield as well. Probably their best cover corner. Not a very big guy, but he was in the backfield as well as Price.
Still looking at this, which is a little surprising.
The ruling on the field is confirmed. Ball is loose. Recovered by the defense.
Well, now it's really important for Kevin Kraft and UCLA to take advantage. When they get a short field and you put USC's defense in a bad spot, you've got to take advantage with some points.
Would you throw here?
I'd take a look at it. I really would. You know, they were conservative in that first drive. The only throw was a little screen pass. Might be a good time to take a shot.
Instead, they'll go to Bell, and Bell is swallowed to the line of scrimmage. This is a defense that gives up 86.5 yards on the ground. Let's take a look at today's X Factor, brought to you by Citi.
Well, one of my real questions today for USC is just their mindset. How would they approach this game? I'm not saying that fumble was a result of a lack of focus, but you never know. They can't play in a championship game, it doesn't look like. How will they play in this game? And UCLA, turnovers. They must take care of the football, and they've already created one with their defense on the first possession. So off to a good start for the Bruins.
Khalil Bell on the season as a running back, averaging only 2.8 yards a carry. And they'll give it to him again. Bell. And I know you don't want to return mistake for mistake, but it's hard to understand this series of play calls here.
Well, again, I mean, the problem for Norm Chow and for Rick Neuheisel is not that they are conservative by nature. Neither one of them are.
True.
But they've got what in essence is a makeshift offensive line, 9 different combinations, and a guy playing quarterback who is their third-string quarterback and who has not been able to take care of the football. So right now they're looking at the fact that their kicker is 19 of 22 on the season and hasn't missed for about 5 games. They know they can get 3.
Kai Forbath has been brilliant. 3rd and 11.
It's the pass. They got it.
Underthrown to Bell, and caught it anyway. The pass from Dominique Johnson, who hung it up. Khalil Bell had to outjump 2 defenders, and he did. That's what I mean about not being conservative.
Yep. Well, that was an outstanding effort by Bell because the ball was underthrown and Bell just wanted it more than the USC defenders. Great effort by Khalil Bell, the senior.
Got to make sure that first one is a lateral and not a forward pass, and then Bell can throw it, and they did. UCLA with a quick 7-0 lead over USC. 11:07 to go, first quarter. Play from the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. Gable and Johnson are deep for Rothstein's kick. Johnson works his way across the 35 to the 36. Show us what happened on that last touchdown play.
Well, it was a throwback all the way. Now, Khalil Bell is right here. He's the intended receiver. Clay Matthews is the guy who's going to be responsible for coverage. And the little hesitation by Khalil Bell is going to freeze Matthews. Then as he runs by him, what you're going to see right here, the safety, Mays, is going to come over to help, but he's actually going to knock off the coverage because the ball's underthrown, but Mays actually hits his own guy, and Bell is able to hang on to the football in a huge first score by the UCLA Bruins. Remember, this USC defense, that's only the 11th touchdown they've allowed all season.
Amazing, isn't it? 5 wide receivers. Sanchez under pressure, floats it up, caught in UCLA territory. Patrick Turner out-jumped the coverage. There is a flag down. Brian Price drilled Sanchez.
By 51 of the defense. That penalty is 15 yards from the end of the catch. First down.
Going to charge it on Reggie Carter. Boy, the pressure was all over him.
Well, we've seen 2 underthrown balls, both go for completions. This one's underthrown by Sanchez. Now he's under heat from Price. The late hit came on the second player in there, Reggie Carter. And then watch Turner again use that big body to just get in between 2 defenders and steal it for a catch.
Well, he was jammed pretty well, too. Reggie Carter, the junior, picks up the 15-yard personal foul. And now we go to Stephon Johnson, who has that tremendous speed from the tailback spot. Let's check in with Holly.
Well, I can't tell you how much energy that touchdown infused onto this UCLA sideline. Khalil Bell came over, was screaming at his offensive line, guys, we're winning today. It's not one play, it's all day. This offense has been so maligned this year, has really struggled, guys. You get the sense that they just had a big breath of relief, like at last something went well for us.
I'm sure it gave him just a tremendous lift, Holly. USC now going with a power formation. Throw underneath to the tight end, Rhett Ellison, and Ellison has nowhere to go.
It's a good defense as well right here with UCLA.
There is a penalty flag down. Is it going to be interference?
I think it was thrown before the ball was snapped, actually. It may have been offsides, lined up offsides, or too many guys on the field, but it was thrown before the play actually got started.
Well, there's also a flag in the secondary.
Illegal motion. Number 4 on the offense. Pass interference. Number 6 on the defense. Those penalties offset. Replay third down.
So that's actually a break for UCLA, as the major penalty is wiped out by the minor penalty.
Well, UCLA has been good. The last 7 games, they have only allowed 24 conversions in their last 90 third down plays. That's a little under 27%. So trying to create some confusion on this third down play for Mark Sanchez.
Straight back to throw, 4-man rush, flanker screen. Somehow they got the completion on a very dangerous pass to Ronald Johnson. He had to come a long way back to catch that ball into traffic, but still it's going to be well short of a first down.
And Chase Moline did a nice job coming from his defensive end position, reading that screen and getting a big hit to stop the momentum before they could get forward for the first down.
Beeler on to try a 41-yard field goal. He is nearly perfect this year. His percentage leads the Pac-10. As you might imagine, with this offense, he hasn't had that many opportunities. And he missed this one. This game is starting exactly the way UCLA wants. To the missed field goal at its own 24-yard line. Khalil Bell, the tailback, behind Kevin Kraft, and Bell will get the carry. Little running room.
Right there you saw Kevin Kraft going with a long snap count. That was one of the things Norm Chow said he wanted to try to do today. Change the tempo. Keep this defense off balance. He says there's no way we can just line up and try to move them. They're too good. I mean, Notre Dame tried to do that last week with no success. He says, we can't do that. But what we can do is try to keep them a little off balance. One time, go on a long count. Next time, come out and go on a quick count. Stay in the huddle a little longer one time. Come up to the line quicker one time. Anything to get them a little bit out of kilter.
Shane Moline, number 42, is the blocking back. Bell straight up the middle. And he'll be about 3 yards shy of a first down. Maiava makes the tackle. And if the name Norm Chow sounds oddly UCLA, it's because he was, before that, a USC assistant.
Yeah, 2001 to 2004, part of Pete Carroll's first staff here. And the first year, 94th in the nation in total offense. And then with Carson Palmer at the helm in 2002, they jetted all the way up to 8th. A couple of Heisman Trophy winning quarterbacks and 2 national championships during his time here before he left to be the offensive coordinator with the Tennessee Titans.
And when he comes back to Los Angeles and across town for UCLA. Kraft all day to throw, throws too high, incomplete. Nelson Rosario got a hand on it, couldn't hold it.
Looked like he got a little tangled up with the defender, but the good news for Kraft, he didn't get the completion, but he did throw it to the blue jersey. And that sounds simple, but they've been killed. Last week, 3 interceptions returned for touchdowns against Arizona State. Their defense played brilliant, their offense killed them.
Perez to kick again. Stephon Johnson trying to kick away from him and doing a good job as it'll roll dead inside the 30-yard line. We mentioned the only fly in the ointment in this series for USC was 2 years ago, December 2nd. They were number 2. Came into the Rose Bowl with a berth in the national championship on the line. UCLA gets on the board first. Patrick Cowan with a touchdown run. USC answered to take a 9-7 lead at the half. Then both teams' defenses stiffened after the break. Justin Medlock's 2 field goals were the only score in the second half. Gave UCLA a 13-9 advantage. And then Eric McNeil with the interception of John David Bowie. And that was it. 13-9. A monster upset. Sanchez, half roll, wide open. Complete down to the 40-yard line. And it was Damian Williams getting clear of Tony Dye, and it's a gain of 31 yards. All he had to do was wait for that one.
Yeah, a lot of time for Mark Sanchez to look deep on this one. They run a lot of bootleg. He gets outside of the pressure and is able to have good vision down the field and find Damian Williams. I mean, that's a long developing play, but there was no pressure on Sanchez, and he's able to find his deep target on that one.
Damian Williams with his 46th catch, the young man that transferred from Arkansas. He was a high school All-American. McKnight on the draw. Nowhere to go.
See, that's
UCLA with a good job. Werner up from the corner.
That's the key for UCLA. Just like 2 years ago when they upset USC, they held them to 55 yards rushing for the whole game. They shut them out in the second half, but they were able to make USC one-dimensional. And that's the same approach they've got to take tonight. If they can stop the run and do a great job with it, then Dwayne Walker feels, hey, you know what? He's still a young quarterback. We might be able to get him out of his comfort zone, make him make a few mistakes if we can take the running game away from him.
McKnight got it outside that time. Cuts it back, dives forward to the 35. It'll be 3rd and about 4. Even if you make USC one-dimensional, you mentioned he's a first-year starter, but he's still a good quarterback.
Yeah.
He's got some tremendous receivers.
He does. You know, they still have the talent to make that happen, but anytime a defense can take one part of your offense away and not have to commit extra guys to stopping the run, it shifts the advantage to the defense, particularly a good defense like both these teams have.
The last 6 games for Sanchez, he has been on fire.
Mix up in the backfield.
That was a busted play, and Stephon Johnson, either he or Sanchez went the wrong way, because that play took an extra count to develop, and Reginald Stokes was there to make the tackle on the mix-up.
Now Stokes is in there starting now for the injured Tom Blake, one of the seniors who had played very well for him this year, but out with an injury. And that was A real mix-up in the backfield, and now USC going for it on 4th down.
That was a mental mistake on USC. They've already made a couple of physical mistakes.
Dwayne Walker wants a timeout. He wants to get the right personnel on. He's trying to get, they got the timeout. Called it on the sideline. Able to get the timeout for his defense.
Boy, and his kids were really scrambling, trying to get into the right defense, but they weren't going to make it. Great call of a timeout. Today's presentation of ESPN on ABC College Football is available in sparkling clear, high definition. And our aerial coverage of today's game provided by Goodyear. Football's rough, your commute shouldn't be. So get there on Goodyear's Silent Armor technology. And what a beautiful sight that is. The Rose Bowl on an absolutely gorgeous Saturday. Who's moving out here with me? 4th and 4. McKnight the tailback. Sanchez throws incomplete for the first down. Got it to his tight end, McCoy. Gain of about 7 and a first down. They came with a 4-man rush. Brett Lockett had to make the tackle, but no pressure on Sanchez.
Now, well, Lockett was in good position. The only problem is Lockett is 6'1", and the tight end Anthony McCoy is 6'5", 255 pounds. Did a nice job of shielding the defender with his body and coming down with the first down catch.
Sanchez, 5 out of 5, 62 yards passing here in the first quarter. Blitz coming, they pick it up, and Sanchez throws. That should be a flag, and it is. Michael Norris, who is one of their most consistent defensive backs, just got caught up with Damian Williams, was in his face and kept riding him.
Pass interference, number 22 on the defense. 15-yard penalty from the previous spot, first down.
Damian Williams was in a short split and then ran right for that back pylon, and that forced Norris to be kind of out there on an island, one-on-one against the leading receiver for USC, and just instinctively interfered with him.
Check in with Holly.
Well, guys, Mark Sanchez, the USC quarterback, just ran over to the sideline talking to Pete Carroll and got the attention of some of the fans here. He wiped his brow and went, whew, got ourselves out of that one. Now they just got to get into the end zone.
McKnight on the reverse. Wow. Touchdown.
Well, this really caught the UCLA defense off guard. They brought McKnight in motion and handed it to him so quickly that UCLA just did not respond with any outside leverage on that play. An excellent call by coordinator Steve Sarkisian to get the ball to McKnight quickly on the perimeter.
Kid's got some speed, doesn't he?
And he's shifty. I mean, we made the comment last week. He's not only fast, but he changes directions fast without losing speed.
Beeler for the point after. And UCLA has erased the early lead. UCLA got the first touchdown of the ball game after a turnover. USC has answered. We are tied at 7 points. Back to that touchdown play.
Well, they really fooled the UCLA defense. Reggie Carter is the leading tackler for UCLA's defense. Here he is right here. Now watch, as soon as he comes inside, that really takes them out of the play, because now there's only 2 guys outside, and that's not enough guys for Joe McKnight, because he's got 2 guys blocking and he's shifty enough to make people miss. But Reggie Carter guessed wrong on that play and came inside, and McKnight went outside for the touchdown.
It was almost as if they had not seen that play on tape before, because it obviously caught them off guard. They were looking for the handoff to the tailback regardless of that motion. Beeler kicking to Austin, and he puts it as he usually does in the end zone. And Austin
big mistake there.
Did everything but come out of the end zone with it. USC's and UCLA's home fields in this intra-city rivalry. The Memorial Coliseum and the Rose Bowl only 17 miles apart. through the middle of downtown Los Angeles. Either one sort of gives you chills when you come to it with all the history. Just a great atmosphere out here. And you can't help but love the home uniforms for both teams the way it used to be.
I love it. Say it again, Kevin Kraft, take care of the football. To give your team a chance, take care of the football.
Kraft on the roll, being chased, running for his life, throws out of bounds, flags down on the play. Everson Griffin, who was a terrific-looking sophomore, five-star recruit out of high school, was in pursuit.
Offside by the defense, number 93, 5-yard penalty, replay first down.
And that was Everson Griffin as well. Since 2001, when Pete Carroll took over, here's the disparity between where these programs have gone. Pete Carroll has won 7 Pac-10 titles, gone to 6 BCS Bowls, and won 2 national championships. Goose eggs in the same column for UCLA. That's why Rick Neuheisel was hired. He is supposed to be the answer to Pete Carroll.
Well, he has similar charisma, and that's a good starting point.
Khalil Bell, ouch. Hit in the backfield, he'll lose a yard. And this defense is just awesome. The UCLA PR department put out this ad in the papers. The monopoly in Los Angeles is officially over. And Rick Neuheisel pointing presumably across town. But here's the response. It is officially over there. Now that's creative.
Yeah.
That's creative by USC. And of course, you can't expect anybody to turn it around in the first year. And as you said, in the charisma department, these two guys don't take a backseat to anybody, but it's a process.
It is. And well, the process is recruiting, and that's where charisma comes in first and foremost, because that works well in living rooms.
Kraft with time, throws it, nobody there.
Take care of the football. You know, I really admire the courage and the guts of Kevin Kraft. We were here the first game of the year. He threw 4 interceptions in the first half, looked horrible. Came out in the second half, and as you said in our meeting, looked like a Heisman watch list guy.
Yeah.
Played great in the second half. He never got over that problem of throwing interceptions. It has plagued him all season. But he has never complained. He's never talked about the offensive line. He's never complained about getting hit. He's never blamed anybody. He's kept getting off the mat and kept trying to come out and play. He's worked really hard. But he's got to take care of the football.
3rd and long. 4-man rush. Kraft to the sideline. A lot of contact over there. Kevin Thomas, the defensive back, covering Terrence Austin.
Yeah, and see,
I think they're going to say the pass was too high to be caught, but there was contact.
And that's a break for Kevin Kraft, because if that ball wasn't thrown high, it would have been intercepted. There were 2 USC defenders there, and he threw into traffic, but the good news for him was he threw it too high for anybody to get a hand on.
You mentioned that first game. The 4 interceptions Kevin Kraft threw in that first half were not your ordinary interceptions. No. Those were 4 interceptions your grandmother would have thrown. He looked as bad as you could ever see somebody. Then he was brilliant in the second half.
Well, and just to further that, I mean, you know, one of those 4 interceptions was returned for a touchdown by Tennessee. And you do that one time in a season, that's a lot. He's done it 7 times this year. Last week against USC, it happened to him 3 times. 3 interceptions returned for touchdowns. This one, when they were going in to score, 100 yards the other way. Their defense held Arizona State to 122 yards of total offense, but they got beat 34-9 because Kevin Kraft did not take care of the football very well.
Give you a little history. He is the 3rd team quarterback, the top 2 guys hurt in the spring. And that's where they went in the well. Here's the Arkansas transfer, Damian Williams again. USC after tying it up on the march again. Sanchez this time drills Turner, and Turner to the 12. McKnight the tailback. Turner and Williams Williams flank to the right. Sanchez with time for Williams, overthrew him. Very good coverage by Averon Werner. For an update, let's head to the New York in our Times Square studio. Thank you, my friend.
Now, some people might be surprised by that. We've seen Alabama 3 times. They have a defense similar to this USC defense. I'm not surprised at all that they're defending that Florida offense with some success.
Williams one-on-one at the corner. Look at that touchdown. Damian Williams left Michael Norris in the dust.
You know, there's a difference between being fast and being quick. And sometimes as a receiver, it's more important to be quick than it is fast, or fast in small spaces. Damian Williams is that. He may not have clock speed or track speed, but he is fast in small spaces, and he made Michael Norris pay for it on that play.
Williams 3 catches, 68 yards, and a touchdown. And USC pouring on the coals here in the last 2 possessions. Trojans 14, Bruins 7. The season with a story of a musical mom whose gift of inspiration gets paid back in a big way. Don't miss the all-new 2-hour Extreme Makeover Home Edition holiday event tomorrow night at 8 Eastern, 7 Central on ABC.
Well, UCLA has got to try to get a little something going on offense. They have not held the ball for more than 3 plays yet in the ballgame. 3 possessions, they've gone 3 and out, and 1 possession they went 3 and in the end zone for a touchdown. So they've got to give their defense a little bit of rest on the sidelines right now and kind of slow this USC train down a little bit if they can. And
UCLA by now has burned off that opening adrenaline. Got to find a way to get their spirit back. Another line drive kick. Austin will field it on the bounce. Hemmed in as he crosses the 20. A lot of coaches have gone back and forth between these 2 schools. Steve Sarkisian has done that and ready to move on, if you believe the rumor mill. He would be a head coach at Tennessee now. Excuse me, at the University of Washington. But they insist it has not been consummated. It's not a done deal yet.
Well, yeah, he's not saying anything. Obviously, he's got to stay focused on this game. All reports seem to indicate that he's heading to Seattle. The real question will be, how does that affect their preparation for their bowl game?
Kraft has this one batted in the air and incomplete.
You mentioned Tennessee. The other guy that was here, Lane Kiffin, who was kind of the co-coordinators with Steve Sarkisian, is now the new head coach at Tennessee. So a couple of young proteges under Pete Carroll both look to be in line to have pretty high-profile head coaching positions in 2009.
Kiffin, of course, had that less than one year stop with the Raiders. 2nd and 10 for UCLA. Kraft out of the shotgun. And it's a quarterback keeper that will get him, what, a yard?
I think that was Khalil Bell. Kraft was lined up as a wide receiver.
Took the direct snap, you're right.
Just trying to do anything to change it. But again, this defense is so stout. I mean, first in the NCAA in scoring defense. First in college football in total defense. Only 210.5 yards per game. They've got, of their 11 starters, probably 9 guys that are not only NFL players, but first-day NFL draftable kind of guys. I mean, that just is, it's almost unfair, is what it is.
That's right. 3rd and 9. Kraft trying to roll away from pressure. Got a block from Bell. Throws underneath.
I think they got a late hit that's going to, if they didn't get the first down on the throw, they're going to get it on the penalty.
Terrence Austin made the catch and was spun out of bounds.
Perfect passer, number 58 on the defense, 15 yards, automatic first down.
Mawaluga will be charged with the personal foul.
I remember Mawaluga was the guy that hit Patrick Cowan 2 years ago, that time leading with the head. I mean, that's an obvious call. 2 years ago, in the upset of UCLA, Mamaluga hit Patrick Cowan, who had scored the game's first touchdown on a quarterback scramble. And Cowan was able to finish the game, but that was one of those hits that was heard not only around the city of Los Angeles, but all around the college football world. Loves to hit, as all three of these senior linebackers do.
Well, this one, he got three steps and hit a guy out of bounds.
And led with his head.
Yeah. You think that was going to get called?
A good break for UCLA nonetheless. First down, they've got good field position and a chance to let their defense get a much-needed rest.
Let's go down to Holly Rowe.
Well, guys, after that late hit penalty, USC took Ray Maualuga out of the game. They rarely take him out of the game, and although they didn't yell at him on the sideline, Ken Norton, the linebacker coach, did come over, have a conversation with him, and from the body language I could see, he was kind of throwing his shoulder as if to say, you can't hit a guy like that. So he's on the sideline for now, very unusual for USC.
Holly, 6'2", 260. Who's going to yell at him? UCLA will pick up a couple of yards with Khalil Bell, big one that let UCLA score the first run. But you can see UCLA's only gained 38 yards so far in this game. And they're going to have to live off of turnovers, big plays, surprise plays.
But they've got, 38 yards? They got 29 more yards than Notre Dame had last week in the first half, right? And they have 9 yards at halftime.
That's right.
91 for the game.
Kraft, short set. Throws underneath to the 45-yard line. Marcus Everett, who was their leading returning receiver, who has missed 5 games. We saw him in the opener against Tennessee, dislocated his big toe. They've had so many injuries. They lost Everett, their top wide receiver. Paulson, who was a Mackey Award-list tight end. They lost their top 2 quarterbacks. They've had 9 different combinations on the offensive line. And I know everybody has injuries and coaches say they're no excuse, but you can't win when you lose that many guys.
No, I mean, you've got some depth problems to begin with, and when you lose key players, critical players, it makes it even that more difficult.
Bell.
I think they got him offsides.
Yeah.
This is a good possession for UCLA. If they get the penalty here and get a first down, because they've changed the field position, they're letting their defense rest. Kevin Kraft has hit a couple throws.
You talked about him changing the cadence.
Yeah, they've done a pretty good job with that.
By the defense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
You know, one of the things that a lot of quarterbacks don't realize, and particularly if you're in the shotgun all the time, you can't utilize one of the real weapons you have, which is your snap count. When you're under center and you can change the snap count, it is a weapon for an offense, because you can really keep a defense back on their heels a little bit if you use it effectively. Use your voice inflection, use your...
Use the head bob.
Yeah, use your head bob. Chris Forcier is at quarterback now. Now, he is more of a running threat than Kevin Kraft. We knew he would play some today.
Forcier starts to the right, comes back to the left. The flag is down. That's probably a hold. And that almost looked like a broken play.
No, I think that was a designed run back to the left side. I mean, that was a designed play for Forcier.
Holding, number 58 on the offense, 10-yard penalty, replay first down.
Micah Reed, the starting center. Well, it certainly wasn't smoothly done, let's put it that way.
Yeah, it's just kind of a counter play where they try to get Ryan Moya, the tight end, out in front as a lead blocker, try to send the defense one way and come back the other way. But the center, right in the middle of the action, Micah Reed, called for the hold.
First and 20 now. The numbers on Kraft, a meager 11 yards. Kraft in trouble, hit as he throws. Too hard, and Taylor Mays had it right in his hands and dropped it. Kraft hit. The ball sailed, and Taylor Mays blows an interception.
When you run a bootleg, you've got to get your head and eyes around quickly. Comes out of the fake, and there's Cushing right there. And again, there's a case where Kevin Kraft maybe got away with one. Kind of throws it up, lofts it up in the middle of the field behind his receiver, and very easily could have been intercepted. Sometimes the defense wins. I mean, that's just all there is to it, especially a defense like USC. You got to concede that sometimes they're going to win the play.
Blitz coming, he wants a screen. And it's dropped. Ryan Moya, the tight end, had it right in his hands. The screen was well set up and he dropped it. Let's check in with John Saunders. John. All right, thank you, John. Having seen both of those teams this year, and we knew it was going to be a battle. Kraft in the gun, still 3rd and long. Pressure coming again. Kraft takes off. Drilled as he got to the 47-yard line. Josh Pinkard up from the corner. And the only thing on his mind was knocking that ball out of Kevin Kraft's hands.
Well, another safe call. Now you're, again, you've let your defense rest. You're down 7, and now you're counting on your punter, Aaron Perez, to help your team and help your cause by kicking one and pinning USC down inside their 10-yard line.
The kicking game has been the only bright spot for UCLA's offense this year. And they'll whistle this one dead. And Perez would have liked this one as the ball dies at the 6-yard line.
Prior to the snap, encroachment by the offense, 5-yard penalty, remains 4th down.
Holly, what do you have?
Well, guys, look at this conversation that Rick Neuheisel and Kevin Kraft are having over there on the sidelines. Rick Neuheisel actually just dropped back, like asking him, what are you seeing? How are you moving your body? You know, they've really struggled to figure out how this kid learns so they could really communicate with him on the sideline. They actually had him academically tested to see how they could communicate better with him. But Rick Neuheisel going through the motions, every little nuance right now with his quarterback.
Well, that one's blocked. USC will take over at midfield. And the block, Jarrell Casey, a defensive lineman on special teams, got through, and that's how you counter a weapon for UCLA. You block the kick of Perez.
Well, that was poor protection. Frank Gantz Jr. is a special teams coach. His father, one of the great ones in the NFL, and his motto was that your punt protection team is kind of the integrity of your special teams. And that time, boy, some gaps inside, and an easy block for USC. Just really kind of caved in the middle of the punt protection that time. And Gerald Washington, a reserve defensive lineman, gets in there for the block.
He was off to the side, got one hand on it, but you're right. There were a couple of gaping holes in there that they exploited. And we talked about UCLA having to feast off the mistakes of USC, and now it's USC's turn.
Well, that is so costly because, again, UCLA had a chance to really flip the field. They didn't score, but they got their defense rested. They moved the ball a little bit, got a couple first downs, and they had a chance to punt USC down deep and give their defense an opportunity. As it turns out, now their defense has to come out and line up in their own side of the field. I mean, that is a real turnaround negatively for UCLA.
And emotion is so much a part of rivalry games. It's a basic part of college football, but more so with rivalries. And the emotion right now is all going in USC's way. And Pete Carroll looking for some kind of an explanation from the referee.
For the last possession that USC had the football, they kind of abandoned the run and they went to throwing the football, and UCLA not able to get any pressure on Mark Sanchez. I'll be interested to see what Dwayne Walker dials up this possession, if he feels he has to kind of commit some extra guys to the pass rush to get to Mark Sanchez.
They've gotten it done most of this year defensively with the front four. Stephon Johnson is the tailback behind Sanchez. He'll get the carry. Slips a couple of tackles and then drilled as he got to the 47. Another big tackle by Werner, who's had a very active game. So many different coaches gone back and forth. Ken Norton Jr. was a UCLA linebacker coaching at USC. Wendell Tyler was a UCLA running back. Mark Tyler on the other side. And Norm Chow has been on both sides, first at USC and now in his first year at UCLA. Dwayne Walker, the same thing. He was a secondary coach. Rick Neuheisel went to USC and now coaching at UCLA.
You mentioned Dwayne Walker. Not only did he coach here for Pete Carroll at USC, but also got his first NFL coaching opportunity from Pete Carroll with the New England Patriots. Spent a lot of years as an assistant in the NFL. There's a lot of other connections. He was an assistant at BYU and recruited Steve Sarkisian to go there as a quarterback, where he was coached by Norm Chow, who spent 27 years at BYU. So a lot of intricate connections between these two staffs.
3rd and 4. McKnight on the toss. Room to run. McKnight with a first down at the 34.
That's twice they have got outside the UCLA defense with Joe McKnight. One time it was for a touchdown where they kind of fooled him on the quick handoff in motion. That time it was just a toss sweep. And again, they out-leveraged the UCLA defense, and McKnight able to easily pick up the first down.
10 minutes, 9 seconds to go in the first half. UCLA had the advantage in the opening minutes, scoring the game's first touchdown after a USC fumble. That one was up for grabs and intercepted, now out of bounds.
What a play, though.
Michael Norris had his eye on the ball the entire way and picked Sanchez, only to come down out of bounds.
Well, he didn't go for the fake. Watch Sanchez hunch the shoulders, trying to go out and up. But Norris didn't buy the fake. He stayed right with Turner and almost came down with an incredible interception one-handed. Wow, I think Gabe might have to review that one. He had to catch pretty clean, and 1 foot came down, which is all he needs. Does not need 2 feet to come down. And Rick Neuheisel may want to challenge this one.
Let's see if they rule he was bobbling the ball or if he came down out of bounds, because clearly he was inbounds, and not much of a job by Patrick Turner to play defensive back on that.
That's a pick.
What a grab.
There's the left foot in, and he's cradled the ball to his body, and then the right foot steps out of bounds. I guess the only question is, did he have the ball securely cradled before the right foot hit out of bounds? Nonetheless, it was a tremendous effort by a guy who's had a couple problems here already in the first half. Trying to guard Damian Williams. That time against Patrick Turner, he made a beautiful play.
I thought he had it.
I do too.
It looks like he is clearly in control of the ball, and his foot being in is no question.
And remember, it was ruled an incomplete pass on the field, or out of bounds.
The ruling is an interception. First down.
Yep. That's a good use of the replay. It was an excellent play by Michael Norris. A play that needed to be reviewed, and the right call was made.
The college replay system is so superior to anything we have ever had. They have really done a tremendous job on this. UCLA playing for nothing but pride on senior day. For USC, everything's still on the line. An 11-win season, a Pac-10 title, the Rose Bowl, and at least mathematically, although the computers say it won't happen, a shot at a national championship.
Well, and again, I know I'm sounding like a broken record, partner, but this is where Kevin Kraft really has to take care of the football, because USC's defense a little angry after that turnover. They've got him pinned down inside around the 10-yard line. This is where he really has to be smart with the football. Don't throw late, and particularly don't throw late over the middle of the field.
Khalil Bell. Flag is down in the area you normally see holding.
Well, this has to be an incredibly frustrating year for Khalil Bell, the senior. Khalil Bell is basically 1 year now from knee surgery. He's probably as healthy as he's been all season.
Holding, number 75 on the offense, half the distance to the goal, replay first down.
Nick Ekbatani, the right guard, called for the hold.
But, you know, Khalil Bell in his senior year, hoping to finish with a bang here at UCLA, comes back from the injury, and all he's been able to do is average 2.8 yards per carry. Again, they've had so many problems with their offensive line, injuries, change of combinations up there, and boy, your running back is the guy who pays the price for that.
And his season last year started, he had a brilliant game, 195 yards rushing in the first game against Stanford, tore up his leg, been trying to regain that form ever since, and as you said, that offensive line hasn't helped him a whole lot. This one's complete to Taylor Embry, their leading receiver. That was his 40th catch. Here's Holly.
Well, you're speaking of Khalil Bell for UCLA and the disappointing season he's had from a productivity standpoint. So it was surprising when we asked Coach Rick Neuheisel, who was your offensive MVP on this team? And he said, you know, I'd have to say Khalil Bell is one of those. You know, he does so much for us in the huddle, leadership, keeping guys involved. If I need to get something across, he's the guy that can help me do it. And, you know, that's really a great honor for him. He's a senior. He obviously is disappointed in this season, but he has stayed involved and helped his team do the same.
It's an awesome compliment for a young man. It really is.
2nd and 5. They'll give the ball to the fullback, and that's Shane Moline, who works out at 2 positions in the backfield. Mawaluga is there to make the tackle.
I just want to follow up on that about Khalil Bell and some of these other guys, whether it's a Marcus Everett, some of these other seniors. You got a new coach that comes in. There's changeover. It's very easy for a senior to say, you know what, I'm just going to put my time in.
Yeah.
I'm going to get mine and get out of here. I'm not going to buy into the new regime. That's for the young guys. But when guys don't do that, when they really buy in and do what they're asked, it's life lessons. I mean, it's something that prepares them for life after football, because things don't always go the way you want them to go, and you got to be able to adjust and deal with it.
Kraft, good protection that time, but he had the ball tipped, and it's incomplete. Boy, the line did a terrific job that time. They bottled up the rush, and Kraft just had it tipped and knocked away. Perez to kick to Johnson, who waits on his side of the 50. Wow, booming kick on a line. Johnson retreats to the 20 and did not make it back to the 30. A 64-yard line drive shot. Here, don't miss the premiere event happening Wednesday, January 21st at 8 Eastern, 7 Central on ABC. What a great, great show. I'm glad it's back. We'll all return to the island. USC leading 14-7.
Does that show anything like Gilligan's Island or not?
No. This is as far from Gilligan's Island as you've ever seen.
I'm not too familiar with the show. I mean, I know a little bit about it, but I didn't know.
The island was not alive on Gilligan's Island. Johnson on the delay gets out to the 35-yard line. That obviously took the rivalry to higher levels. And in 1942, the student body president from both schools agreed enough of the shenanigans. They would not steal it anymore. So it's locked up all year. Almost a horse collar, but you can't call it unless the tackler drags down the ball carrier, and that was McKnight. He went out of bounds.
Well, again, the problem for UCLA right now is they can't get any pressure on Mark Sanchez. They're rushing 4, and USC is doing a nice job of keeping their quarterback comfortable, and he's able to survey the field, to scan the coverage, and throw it where he wants. Here's the end of that play, the near horse collar, but no pressure on Mark Sanchez for UCLA.
First down, USC. McKnight to the UCLA 41-yard line. That's enough for another first down. Johnson is back in on 1st and 10 from the 41. He'll get it on the draw this time, and only a couple. Talent galore at this running back spot, as there has been under Pete Carroll. He wants to bring in guys who will compete at the highest level, and that's what this position is talking about. Gable with 1,100 yards, Johnson with 1,285, McKnight over 1,000.
Yeah. That's interesting too. You know, you think of the glory days of USC, you think of tailback you think of student body right,
and one guy.
You know, and now it's different. It's a whole different system, a different method. But they're still attracting great talent here.
That's what John Robinson always did. Flag is down. That's going to be a hold, and the pass is incomplete. And it was Charles Brown hanging on to Chase Moline, who had gotten around the corner. Let's go to Holly.
Well, guys, part of that intrigue with the running back position at USC is keeping all three of those guys happy. I can tell you that since that earlier fumble, C.J. Gable's been on the sideline, and he hasn't been happy. Steve Sarkisian, his offensive coordinator, sat down next to him, put his arm around him. I could hear him say, I need you to be involved in this offense and take care of things. But we haven't really seen much of him, guys. It's such a tricky balance keeping those three guys happy. But, you know, sometimes coaches will say, hey, it's their job to keep me happy.
Yeah. And there's a lot of truth to that, especially in this case. I mean, all of these guys were five-star recruits. Every school in the country was after all of them, and they all end up at USC. Underneath it, incomplete. Intended for Williams. Good defense by Chris Meadows. He was right there.
A little different look by the UCLA secondary that time, too. It was kind of a wide cover 2 look, meaning the safeties were really wide trying to protect the outside, playing man-to-man coverage underneath, and they forced Mark Sanchez to go to one of the underneath throws instead of his outside receivers. Now it's 3rd and long, a chance for a big stop here for the Bruin defense.
McKnight on the handoff.
Boy, nice play by Corey Bosworth. Just riding, hanging on, and riding him down. USC tried to mix him up with the draw play, not trying to get crazy on 3rd and long, and Bosworth does a nice job of reading it and making the play. He's going to come from the top of the screen, chases it down from the backside, and then just hang on for some help.
Now they will have to kick it away. UCLA with a big rush, flag down. Holy cow, they went for the block. David Carter came in and got the punter, and that is going to give them a first down on 4th and 17.
Roughing the kicker, 85 of the defense, 15 yards on that first down.
And the difference between that and the block that USC got, when USC's Gerald Washington came in, he came to the side and reached back for the ball. They don't do this. They go right into the punter. You must go for an angle to take the ball off the foot and not hit the punter. And this was just poor execution again by David Carter, just coming right into the punter straight up the middle. Even if you get free in the middle, you've got to peel off to a side and stick your hand out. You cannot run over the kicker.
The look of dejection on Rick Neuheisel's face.
That is huge. It was 3rd and 17. Their defense gets a stop. They force a punt. And now USC has the ball in scoring territory again.
And there's 4:01 to go in the half. You figure you'd be at least be able to burn off a couple of minutes of that. Johnson inside the 40 to the 39. UCLA starting to make the mistakes that have characterized their season and have them in a 4-7 hole coming into this game. USC doesn't need your help. They're good enough to do it without it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, really, and I think everybody would admit, even the UCLA coaches, for them to have a chance to win, they would have to play their best game of the year, and they'd have to get a little help from USC. And certainly they did on USC's first possession with the fumble. led to the first score of the game, but a couple critical mistakes here in the second quarter for the Bruins.
Sanchez with plenty of time. Williams had it and couldn't hold it. Werner was back in coverage.
This is a great play by Werner. This guy is really good. I mean, he is on an island, and he is not going to see the ball or the quarterback, but watch him read the receiver. And when he sees Williams go for the ball, he strips the ball out at the last minute. Never looked back, never found the ball, but read the receiver and timed it perfectly. I mean, that is outstanding corner play by Alteron Werner.
2 years ago, a freshman All-American, the preseason Pac-10 first team choice this year. 3rd and 6 with 3:11 to go in the half. USC already up by a touchdown. And the whistle was dead.
I think USC called a timeout.
Timeout, Southern California. Their second of the half.
Today's game provided by Goodyear. Football's rough, your commute shouldn't be. So get there on Goodyear's Silent Armor technology. USC has reached the UCLA 29-yard line, 3rd and long. They're up 14-7, driving for more.
Well, Mark Sanchez started this game out in the right fashion, 8 of 9 and a touchdown. Second quarter, a little tougher for him. Has the interception, only 1 of 4. I think this is a critical play, maybe the biggest play of the game so far for UCLA. They got to stop, had the penalty on the punt. They've got him in 3rd again. They need another stop right here.
They'll give it to McKnight on the draw. McKnight, first down and more, lost his footing, or he might have had a touchdown on that cutback. He's at the 18-yard line. Jeff Byers, the left guard, with a nice block on the delay, and they caught him off guard with that one.
Yeah, UCLA thinking pass all the way on that play. Got an injury there. Matt Jordan, the umpire, down on the field.
We'll check on him when we come back to the Rose Bowl. 3:05 to go in the half.
That was a nice call by Steve Sarkisian, and they took advantage of a young freshman, Sean Westgate, who was in as a linebacker that kind of got himself right out of the play.
They mark it at the 17, 1st and 10. Sanchez for the end zone, and no. Let's go back and see how the umpire was hurt as Norris covered Turner on that last one.
Well, first of all, let's look at this. This is Sean Westgate right here. Now, he's a freshman, and I saw Dwayne Walker put him in late. He's going to follow the tight end and take himself out of the play, because here comes the run right into the hole where he left, and McKnight is able to make the first down. Now, there's the official getting hurt, his right leg, grabbing it right at the end of that play, just couldn't get out of the way, and Matt Jordan out of the game right now.
McKnight trying to dance around, but nowhere to go, and he was hit hard by Glenn Love, who came up from the free safety spot, and McKnight a little slow to get up. This UCLA defense is going to play very hard.
Yeah.
They knew that coming in.
Well, you know, and how oftentimes have you seen it when you get a game where everybody's talking about one team's defense, you know, or one team's offense, the other team on the other side says, hey, wait a minute, we're pretty good too.
Yeah.
And this is a defense that has played without an offense for most of the season. And coming into tonight, the last 2 games, they hadn't allowed a touchdown. Again, they held Arizona State to 122 yards last week.
13th play of this drive. Sanchez to the 5, down to the 4-yard line. Turner, that's enough for a first down. Great throw by Sanchez, and Turner right at the sideline, and that is Sanchez.
Well, and I think there's a late hit also.
Roughing the passer, number 92 on the defense, half the distance to the goal, first down.
It's on Brian Price, the talented defensive tackle.
Sanchez doing a nice job staying in there, knowing pressure's coming, and again, just a hit at the end. He didn't have to throw him down.
Price threw him down after Harwell Looked like he made helmet-to-helmet contact. Sanchez is back on the field. He started toward the sideline. It will be 1st and goal from the 2. Clock stopped with 1:59 to go. Johnson is the tailback. 2 wide receivers split left, everyone else in tight. Stephon Johnson, touchdown. Remember the penalty on 4th and 17, roughing the kicker. That's what kept this drive alive.
Absolutely. I was just getting ready to make the same point. I mean, you can say that was on the UCLA defense, but that touchdown attributed to the UCLA special teams. They had them stop, and the penalty gave USC new life, and like a good football team is supposed to do, a championship-level football team, they capitalized on the break and got another touchdown on the board.
Drive went 70 yards overall, nearly 6 minutes off the clock. USC kicking off. Terrence Austin, 2 yards deep in the end zone. Has to retreat and still can't get it. Another booming kickoff by Beeler. It's the Big 12 championship tonight. Missouri number 20, Oklahoma number 2. 8 o'clock start on ABC. Can Missouri pull off the upset? They'll be watching in Texas, won't they?
Well, the real question in that one is can Missouri's defense get the job done? I mean, Missouri obviously has capable skill guys on offense, led by quarterback Chase Daniel, Jeremy Macklin, the wide receiver, but stopping that Sooner offense is no easy job.
Well, nobody else has stopped them, that's for sure. Khalil Bell gets maybe a yard. Gang tackled, led by Mawaluga, and tossed back. Of course, this has Heisman implications as well, because Bradford has been just so good, and he's got to be in the top 2 for most people. Colt McCoy, Bradford,
he's in the top
certainly
3
in the top
sure.
3.
You know, but the problem for Colt McCoy is that Sam Bradford is playing in a big game on a big stage tonight, and Tim Tebow is playing in a big game on a big stage today, and Colt McCoy is eating popcorn in Austin.
UCLA is averaging 1.9 yards a rush. That pass was intended for Everett. That could have been a disaster because Everett was flying downfield and the quarterback threw an out. Let's check in with Holly.
Well, if you're a USC fan, a couple of scary things right now. Joe McKnight, who's had a terrific first half, is on the sideline. They've been stretching his right hip flexor. He just tried to get up off the ground and winced in pain. He laid there for about 30 seconds. He was in so much pain. Also, Damian Williams, their outstanding wide receiver, has been taken to the locker room. I'll update you after the half.
Thank you, Holly. We only have 1:12 to go here in the first half. UCLA back at its 21. Kraft, too high, tipped, incomplete.
He's just got to make that throw.
Playing with fire right now.
Well, he's got to make that throw. He's got single coverage. He's got his guy open, and he can't throw that ball too high. He's got to get it down on his numbers. They've got protection. They need a play. They get the blitz picked up. He just can't throw that ball high. He's got to throw it to the guy. Kevin Thomas was in coverage, but this is just a bad throw. Dominique Johnson is open. He's got single coverage, and that should be just like playing catch, and it wasn't.
Not only high, but inside. Johnson taken down as he reached the 35. Coming up, stay tuned for the Capital One halftime report. Some of the games they'll be covering: Conference USA and ACC championships, the SEC championship going on right now, and of course a preview of the big one tonight, the Big 12 championship, with Missouri and Oklahoma fighting it out. Just implications everywhere in those games. Only 55 seconds left in the half.
Well, if I know Pete Carroll, he's not going to just sit on this. He's got one timeout, 55 seconds. He knows his defense has this UCLA offense bottled up. I wouldn't be surprised. He's going to go for one more score here.
Sanchez to throw. Good protection. Goes underneath. It's the tight end, Anthony McCoy, and McCoy into UCLA territory at the 45. The clock will stop while they move the sticks. Still plenty of time the way they can run their offense. Blitz, they pick it up. Sanchez, incomplete. Good coverage by Michael Norris that time again on Patrick Turner. Norris made a couple of nice plays out there.
Boy, he had to really climb the ladder too. Michael Norris listed at 5'10", Patrick Turner 6'5". Watch him just climb up the body to make this play. Turner tries to go high to get it, and Norris gets up there, his hand up high to knock the ball away.
It's just great technique. Reaches right between his arms. Stops the clock at the 34-second mark. When you look at how Werner and Norris have played on the corners, these guys are pretty good. Sanchez again with good protection. Johnson wide open, out of bounds at the 22.
See, the biggest difference between UCLA's defense this year and the defense they had last year, and particularly 2 years ago when they were able to beat USC, is they had a defensive end named Bruce Davis who led the Pac-10 in sacks. Their defensive ends were great pass rushers, and that created problems for USC and for John David Booty 2 years ago. Right now, UCLA's best defensive linemen are inside, the two tackles, and they are not able to create enough pressure on Mark Sanchez. They don't have an outside rush that's putting the quarterback under any kind of duress.
They've just been able to sit in that pocket and pick out who he wants to throw to. Here comes a little extra pressure, but they don't get there. Johnson, and it was knocked away again by Werner, who had great coverage on the post.
And see, the problem then, if you say, okay, we're not getting enough pressure with our front four, so now we've got to commit some extra guys to the rush. That means we've got to play single coverage against these dangerous wide receivers. Now, we might match up okay with Werner. We might match up okay with Norris, but when we have to get our safeties involved or our nickelbacks involved, then we might have a problem. So that's the real quandary that Dwayne Walker is in right now. He can't get enough pressure with four. Does he want to commit extra guys and play man?
2nd and 10.
Here comes a blitz.
Dump it underneath, incomplete, intended for Trevon Patterson. You know, you really got to like Werner's attitude, though. He's got one of those really cocky looks to him, like, I'm not afraid of anybody, you just bring it on, one-on-one or otherwise.
The thing I like about him is not only does he lead the team in passes broken up, he's got 2 interceptions, but he's also like 3rd on the team with, coming into the game tonight, 67 tackles. He's not afraid to mix it up. I mean, he's a physical guy that doesn't mind getting his jersey dirty.
Another big 3rd down. 19 seconds on the first half clock. Sanchez pump and go for the end zone and overthrown. Werner again, this time on Turner, would not let him get behind him.
See, that pump and go really only works against zone, because if it's man coverage, you're not looking back at the quarterback if you're a corner. You're locked into your receiver. That pump and go works if the guy's trying to take a peek at the quarterback. And a couple times now we've seen Sanchez try to go with that pump fake to no avail.
Beeler will try from 40. He has missed from 41, only his 2nd miss of the entire year. And UCLA will use the timeout here with 14 seconds on the clock. Back to the Rose Bowl in a moment. In the first half from the Rose Bowl, USC trying to increase its lead over UCLA. Already up 21-7. The Bruins scored first. Since then, 21 unanswered points are the number 5 team in the nation. And now Beeler will try from 40 yards away. Out of the hold of his punter, Greg Woidnick. Cooper Stevenson is the snapper. And he pulled it left again. So Beeler, who had only missed 1 field goal all year coming in, has missed 2 in this one.
He pushed 1 and he pulled 1. Good snap, good hold. Not a good kick.
You know, this guy could play for you if he never makes a field goal as well as he kicks off.
Yeah.
But I'm sure he's disappointed in this, particularly in this rivalry game, to get twice as many misses as he's had all year. And now UCLA takes over with 9 seconds on the clock, and it's the victory formation. In this case, it's the let's get to the locker room formation. Down by only 14. A great start for UCLA for the half, but a great finish for USC. Let's go to Holly.
Coach, how did the penalties in that first half affect the complexion of this game?
Well, it's just too bad. It's just it's a byproduct of playing really hard. We tried to get a punt, probably the wrong place to try it, but it's great effort, and we just got into the kicker, and that cost us a touchdown. And it's our defense is playing hard. Our offense, we've got to try to muster a little bit more, but we're kind of controlling some clock, and we're still in the game, and that's what we wanted to be at halftime.
Your quarterback hasn't turned it over, but hasn't made a lot of big plays either. How did you change that?
Well, we're going to go talk about it right now. We're trying to play within ourselves, and you know, as the game gets a little later in the game, we can take a few more chances.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Holly. Our halftime score: USC 21, UCLA 7. C.J. Gable is back in there to start the second half. Had been on the bench most of the first half after that fumble. And Gable caught from behind and taken down after a gain of only a yard. Akeem Ayers from that weak side linebacker spot chased him down.
Well, yet another big third down play now for both teams. USC in Bruin territory, but a third and long play for Dwayne Walker's defense. A chance to get a stop on the first possession of the second half.
Trevon Patterson is in the spot you would normally see Damian Williams. He's number 17. From the slot to the top of your screen. Turner and Johnson, the other wide receivers. For Sanchez, who steps up to avoid pressure, has all day, now is going to run, dives for the sticks, and looked like the ball landed right there. And now a flag at the end of the play.
Personal foul, illegal helmet contact, number 40 on the defense, 15 yards, automatic.
We're going to have to take a look at this.
Well, Sanchez makes a good decision to scramble and then go for the sticks. He sees that marker, so he knows where he has to go. And Akeem Ayers, I think that looked more like a shoulder hit than a helmet hit.
Yeah, his helmet hit him in the back. His helmet that was not helmet-to-helmet contact. That's a bad call.
But you can't lead with your helmet. Regardless of where you hit him, you're not allowed or not supposed to lead with your helmet. Still, that's a very close call and another critical personal foul penalty against UCLA. They have, when you play a team that's better than you, you've got to protect the ball better, and you can't be penalized as much. And UCLA, far more penalties than the Trojans.
Fake to McKnight, throw in the middle, Turner, touchdown. That time he got inside of Verner. 8-7, the bell is the prize in this rivalry. It goes back to the 1920s. Right now, USC with a big advantage, 28-7 over UCLA. And USC to kick. Terrence Austin is deep. Backpedal 7 yards deep. Beeler just a tremendous kicker. Time now for today's Best Buy Playbook. Todd?
Well, that last touchdown pass, what Mark Sanchez saw is that pressure coming, blitz, which means man-to-man coverage, and Alteron Werner is going to be in single coverage. He's right here. Now, he might think that he has free safety help, but he doesn't, because the safety's coming up to cover the tight end who did not release, and Werner just allowed Turner to get inside of him way too easily. I mean, when you know there's no safety in the middle, you must do anything you can to set up a wall and not let him inside. And that time, a guy who has had an outstanding season, Alteron Werner, was beaten pretty badly to the middle.
Khalil Bell Boy, he was just grabbed by Maava and Christian Topu. Here's Holly.
Well, UCLA has really fired up USC quarterback Mark Sanchez. He feels like he's taken some late hits, some dirty play, and he is so mad and so intense on the sideline, he's putting a beating down on them. Pete Carroll has noticed this as well. He spent some long time there between series talking to the referee about it. He's very concerned. He told him, that's 3 bad hits on my quarterback. He needs the umpires and referees to protect his QB a little bit better.
Holly, you're right. He has taken some real shots. Bell so far on the day, 19 yards on 11 carries. There's some room for the tailback. Takes it out across the 30 to the 34, and it's a first down, UCLA.
The first bit of breathing room for Khalil Bell. A little counter play. Start one way, come back the other. He follows his fullback in there, Shane Moline, and gets a pretty nice hole on the right side. And boy, he just hasn't seen much daylight running against this USC defense.
That was the longest play other than their trick play for a touchdown for the entire game. That one went 11 yards. But still only a 2.5-yard average for Bell, who's also an outstanding baseball player. Bell again. Another good run by Khalil Bell. Lowers the shoulder. Goes across the 40 to about the 42.
You know, you asked the question. I mean, how long will it take Rick Neuheisel to get things back at UCLA where they're on competitive equal footing with USC? I mean, they're a few recruiting classes away from that, quite honestly. I mean, the talent difference on these two teams is pretty striking at this point. But I do believe he is the kind of guy who can compete in the living room. And that's where you've got to compete with USC.
Sanchez throws, and it's dropped by Terrence Austin. Low and behind him would have been a tough catch. I mean, Kraft with a throw. It would have been a tough catch. No, you're right, and he's gotten it done certainly everywhere he has been. He has run into problems with the NCAA, but says he's learned a lot throughout his career, knows what kind of mistakes he made, and they're not going to happen again. He's not going to do that to his alma mater, and of course he did go to school at UCLA and was an outstanding quarterback. UCLA has only converted 1 of 8 third-down opportunities this year. Kraft, short set, throws into traffic. That could have easily been picked. Maava had a hand on it as Corey Harkey was the intended receiver, the tight end.
Well, again, this is a case where Kevin Kraft got locked in where he wanted to throw the football, and Corey Harkey was out there, as was Shane Moline, and if anybody was open, it was probably Moline. But Kevin Kraft trying to get the ball in there for the first down and have to punt.
Perez to kick to Johnson. Johnson takes it on the bounce and gets out of bounds inside the 20-yard line. Coming up, Taste of the Town samples fare from south of the border, and Todd proves again you can find big taste in a little place. Rough, your commute shouldn't be, so get there on Goodyear Silent Armor technology. USC takes over. McKnight on that inside handoff again. That's the play where they got their first touchdown. All that kid needs is a running start, huh?
Yeah, they've got him a couple times on that play, as you mentioned. There's that couple of those linebackers, and Clay Matthews sitting in the middle, who's kind of a hybrid position. He's a defensive end, converted linebacker. They call it the elephant position. So he's a defensive end, but he plays in a stand-up position. And boy, the NFL scouts are really high on him, because what he's developed this year is an ability to drop into coverage as well as play physical at the point of attack in the run game.
Dropped a perfect throw to McCoy. And Sanchez has to pick himself up again. He's really getting beaten up.
Well, there's been a couple late hits on the quarterback in the pocket, one on the sideline. This time a clean hit by Brigham Harwell. They have not gotten a lot of pressure early on Mark Sanchez. That time Harwell, right as the ball's released, it didn't affect the throw because it was a perfect throw by Sanchez. But it sure hurts when it happens like that.
Boy, he's checking for parts, too.
Loose teeth, all kind of stuff.
Count the checklets. And that'll get Mitch Mustaine in off the bench. The transfer from Arkansas, who, like Sanchez, was a National Player of the Year in high school. Has bounced around between fourth, third, and second team quarterback this year. Pretty much solidified his position late in the season. Has yet to play that much. And we'll give it off to Gable, and Gable swallowed up in the backfield by Chase Moline.
Well, Mark Sanchez today, they've gotten after him a little bit, but most of them have been late. He's had good protection to make throws down the field, but it's been after the throws and after the ball's released where he's gotten the most contact. That one on the sideline. That's just the effects of a couple different hits. But the last one that forced him out of the game, I don't think it was an injury. I think it might have busted his chin strap because he's back in now with some new headgear.
Well, he's lucky that's all it busted. So Mustaine gets only one play, and they'll go back to the ground with Stephon Johnson.
You know, they say that for a quarterback, kind of the badge of honor, whether it's college or pro football, is when you get stitches in your chin. I mean, it happens to everybody at some point. I don't think he got stitches in his chin on that play, but you know, you're in that vulnerable position enough during the course of a game that you're going to get it before too long. And I can remember when I got mine against the Dallas Cowboys. Michael Downs on a safety blitz got me pretty good.
Somebody's going to put that chin right under there, aren't they? Now it's time for Todd's Taste of the Town, brought to you by Chase.
In 1976, Socorro Herrera realized a dream when her and her family opened a restaurant called Yuca's. Now, when it first opened, Socorro, who everyone calls Mama, used to work in the kitchen cooking the food. Now she sits out front and takes your order. If you're eating in, she writes your order on a paper plate. Takeout orders, they're written on a brown paper bag.
One double cheeseburger.
We'll check out the menu in a second. UCLA takes over at its own 27, third quarter. They're down by 3 scores, and they need to make some noise on offense. Something they haven't done since the opening series. Pick up about 5. What did Todd have to eat this week? Here it is.
Yuca's is known for soft tacos and burritos, so of course I had to try both. So I've got 2 carne asada tacos and a cochinita pibil burrito that's stuffed with shredded pork that's slow cooked with Yucatecan spices, pinto beans, some raw onion, cilantro, and fresh salsa. Muy sabroso.
I've always said via con carne, and you did. Go with me.
Go with me.
Khalil Bell, and they'll blow this play dead. This has been an interesting food year for you, hasn't it? You've gotten some unusual places.
Well, and this is a great place. I mean, it was a rare find. First time I'd done Mexican food in 2 years, and Socorro and her daughter Dora, who run the restaurant, just great people. It's just really a neat story, also to be there.
What's with the plates and the bags?
Well, that's how they take their orders. They save it on overhead, I guess. You know, no paper for it, but great food, really was.
I mean, they don't throw the plates away. You get served on that
That's
plate,
right? Same plate.
Always a good idea. Be sure to check out all of this season's Taste of the Towns at ESPN.com. Search Taste of the Town. And there's a look at what Todd had.
Esto está muy sabroso. That was what they taught me when I was there. That's, my boys are back home. They do Spanish. I want them to look that up and have a translation on my desk tomorrow morning. Esto está muy sabroso.
I had 4 years of Spanish. I have no idea what to say.
3rd and a yard for UCLA. Bell. Mawaluga was one of the guys waiting for him. The first hit, Mayava.
I don't think they got it. Well, we talked about the linebackers at the top of the show. They are all so active and so physical. And again, everybody talks about Mawaluga and Cushing. They've been the longtime starters, but Mayava has been just as productive this year. There he is right there in the middle of the action. He had to wait for his turn to start because he played behind Keith Rivers, but he'll be playing on Sundays next year as well.
I love his quote. I've been complaining for 3 years about playing time, but you can't be all mouth. This is my chance, and he has made the most of it. John Saunders, what do you have? I love the line about SEC games. Every one of them's a knife fight in a ditch. Pretty close to being the truth, too. Some of the fans booing UCLA's choice to punt the ball away there. I mean, there comes a point where you really need to take some chances. Sanchez will try to keep, and instead of sliding, dives head first. I don't think he's given up anything in this game.
No, he's a great competitor and feels like he's been hit cheap a couple times and wants to keep putting the pressure on the crosstown rival.
It's almost like I'm going to get hit if I slide anyhow. I might as well dive.
Holly mentioned that he was kind of upset. It doesn't take very much for him to get energized. He's a very excitable guy.
Yes,
he plays with a lot of energy, a lot of emotion.
Toss right. Johnson cuts it back and gets it up to the 34. Holly has more on this young man.
You guys, during that last time out, as we see a flag thrown there, Sanchez had to come to the sideline and get treated. He's got a big gouge under his left chin. It's kind of right in the spot where his chin strap is rubbing, so they had to take care of that. As you see, a first down there for USC. But talking about his energy, guys, I wish we had a pedometer on this kid. He runs across the sideline. Anything good happens, he runs out to the field, runs back. I mean, he is just a joy and delight to watch, just his personal interaction with his teammates over here on the sideline. Sanchez is just infectious with his energy.
He's a fun kid to talk to. His numbers today, and UCLA was flagged again for a personal foul. That's 10 for 102. Against the Bruins, and everybody getting a little chippy right now.
And that was what Sanchez was saying to his guys in the huddle right there. Let's keep our poise. I mean, they're getting out of hand. They're getting a little out of control. Let's not retaliate. Let's just keep putting the pressure on them.
McKnight burst to the 45.
And I think they coached the position the right way here, too, and I'll get into that in a moment.
Stephon Johnson is the tailback. He gets the ball, spins out of one tackle, but running right up the middle against those two really good tackles, Price and Harwell, is you're not going to make a living doing that.
One of the things that I think is a real problem right now in football, high school football, college football, is that so many teams at the younger levels have gone to spread offenses in middle school and high school that quarterbacks don't learn the basic fundamentals of getting under center and taking a snap and dropping back, whether it's a 3-step drop or 5-step drop, and that's what you have to do in the NFL. And USC is one of the few teams where they, majority of the time, have their quarterback under center.
So, well, I was going to say, Todd, not only does it extend to college, but you can see it now plainly in the NFL.
Yeah.
There are guys playing football in the NFL who are not prepared to be drop-back quarterbacks, and I don't care what anybody says. If you're going to be a running quarterback in that league, you're going to get killed eventually.
Right. Well, and see, the problem is that when you don't know how to drop under center, then you don't know how to throw on rhythm. I mean, it's harder to get into just throwing on rhythm. I mean, that teaches you fundamentals of footwork. And you watch Mark Sanchez's footwork and his fundamentals. He is very comfortable in the pocket because he's been well schooled.
Sanchez with all day. Throws to the sideline. Finally knocked out of the hands of Turner, and there's a flag down.
You know, I talked to Norm Chow before the game about that very thing. You know, I mean, is it a problem? And he says, absolutely. It's becoming a huge problem. He mentioned his quarterback, Kevin Kraft, in junior college at Mount San Antonio College. He was a spread guy. And, you know, just kind of getting guys reprogrammed and getting comfortable with just even how to put your hands under the center, you know, how to place your feet, how to not false step, all those things of playing the position under center is kind of become a little bit of a lost art right now in football.
Well, can anybody name one quarterback in the NFL now who came out of college as a better runner than a passer who's been a big success?
Yeah.
It's that league, you have to be a passer.
But see, the problem is it's not just being a better runner than a passer. So many schools in high school and even in college are just going to spread to throw.
Right.
Not necessarily to have a running quarterback, but it's just easier to teach. It's easier to protect.
Sure.
But it's doing an injustice, I think, to quarterbacks in terms of preparing them to get better. Because if you can't drop back, you got some problems at the next level.
One of the traditions is once you get close to the fourth quarter in this series, the bell disappears. It has not been a very visible trophy. I understand it's locked away the entire off season. So even if you win it, you don't see it. They'll have other reminders. USC on another sustained drive against Rick Neuheisel's defense. They have reached the 33. 2nd and 7. Stephon Johnson, big hole up the middle. Spins and gets down to the 26, very close to another first down. And this week on Monday Night Football, we've got a good one. The NFC South, 2-9-3 teams perched at the top. Jeff Garcia and Tampa Bay taking on Steve Smith and the Panthers. Monday Night Football at 8:30 on ESPN. Coverage starts at 7 Eastern. Monday Night Countdown delivered by UPS. Third, call it 1. Johnson, the only running back. He'll get the carry, takes it off left tackle, has the first down and more.
You know, Holly reported on a couple of the injuries for USC playing tonight now without Damian Williams. Nick Howe, who was their starter at right tackle, has not played tonight. And another guy who we have not seen really at all tonight is one of the most valuable players on this team. Their fullback, Stanley Havili, who injured his ankle last week. He is a real valuable player in everything they do, in the run game and the pass game. We're seeing more of Adam Goodman in at fullback, number 45. Stanley Havili has been slowed by those injuries this week, but he is a valuable member of this Trojan offense.
Wonderful pass catcher, averages almost 14 yards a catch. And that one should have been intercepted right in the breadbasket for Steve Sloan. And you got to believe Sanchez didn't see him for some reason.
Yeah, Sanchez looking towards the end zone and just happened to overlook the middle linebacker. Sloan, there he is, right in the quarterback's vision, and hit him right between the 4 and the 3.
That's when the coach says, "What were you seeing?" You see the guy with the big 43 on him? Sanchez, too strong, intended for Trevon Patterson. Remember, he's in there for Damian Williams, who we haven't seen in quite a while. He's reported that he was injured and will not be back in this game.
Well, and another receiver kind of in the news for USC this week, Vidal Hazelton, who was had a really good year last year, 50 catches, only 6 catches this season. He's made the decision he wants to transfer, and so Pete Carroll said, well, yeah, that's okay. You can transfer. We don't want you practicing anymore with the team. That wouldn't be a good deal. So, you know, it's a very competitive place, and there's a lot of good players that don't get to play a lot.
Sanchez throws underneath. Johnson, no, they said the ball hit the ground. So that's incomplete. Well, there is tremendous competition for playing time on this ball club, and a lot of people say it's easier to transfer than it's easier to start.
Yeah.
And they get high school All-American, one after the other come in here. Most of them stick it out. Some say, I want to go somewhere where I can play. And this has been the only chink in the armor so far. Beeler has missed 2 field goals. 40 and 41. He'll have another shot at a 40-yarder. Trying to hook it, and he missed that one. Welcome back to the Rose Bowl. Tomorrow night on ESPN, join Reese Davis, Kirk Herbstreit, Lou Holtz, and Mark May as they review each bowl game. All the matchups, the winners, and the losers. The Bowl Selection Special on ESPN tomorrow night at 8 Eastern. For more information, log on to ESPN.com. You will find out where your favorite team is or is not going.
It's kind of like the domino effect. After tomorrow, man, everything will kind of fall into a place.
Pressure coming on Kraft.
I'll tell you what, I want to say something about this USC defense, because we've talked about the linebackers, and they are great. And we've talked about Moala up front and Clay Matthews and some of those guys, but the back end of this defense is outstanding too.
Yeah.
And when we talked to Pete Carroll, he said, that's the one thing that kind of gets overlooked. Rocky Seto is the defensive back coach, and the back end of this defense, they just don't give up anything. I mean, there are no deep balls open. You've got a free safety in Taylor Mays, who kind of patrols the middle of the field. You got Kevin Ellison, number 4, who was injured last week, as a real outstanding player at the other safety.
He had his left knee scoped, missed 4 games. And both of these guys are 230 pounds and can run.
Yeah, they are really talented. Josh Pinkard, one of the corners, big physical guy, 6'2", 210 pounds. Kerry Harris is the other corner. Kevin Thomas, we've seen him. I mean, they are immensely talented on this defensive football team.
Clear, high definition, and you're getting to see the home uniforms of both ball clubs because of an arrangement that the coaches made. They used to share a home field, and they used to wear these uniforms before the NCAA passed the rule that wanted contrasting colors. Kraft throwing on the run and completes to Terrence Austin. So Pete Carroll wanted to revive the tradition, even though they don't have the same home fields anymore. But the rules say if you do not wear the proper uniform, and his proper uniform today would be white jerseys, it costs you a timeout. So he contacted Rick Neuheisel, told him what he wanted to do. Neuheisel said, good idea. So they both burned a timeout at the start of the game, and both got to wear home uniforms, and it's something they want to do from now on. UCLA has to punt it away. Johnson forced out of bounds at the 21. Let's go to New York, check in with John Saunders. John. That'll jumble up the computer rankings, won't it? Johnson, flanker screen. It's a 5, 6, 7 out to the 31-yard line. Here's a look at the ESPNU All-State Standings review. Alabama would get that loss and fall out of the top spot, leaving 4 one-loss teams at the top: Oklahoma, Texas, Florida, USC, pending the outcome of tonight's game, of course, between Oklahoma and Missouri for the Big 12 championship. Up the middle goes Mark Tyler. He is the number 4 tailback. And a lot of people asking, is there any chance that USC can find its way into that title game? The computers say no, but the human element might allow it.
Well, they've got 2 things that can happen for them. Number 1 is they could find themselves in that game if Missouri beats Oklahoma tonight. That has to happen. They're not going to pass up a 1-loss Florida team if Florida goes on to win.
Because they've just beaten number 1.
And then there still is the question of Texas, who's sitting there ahead of USC at this point, who's not playing this weekend. But a lot of sentiment flowing towards Austin because of the fact a lot of people think that they got the short end of the deal with Oklahoma making it to the Big 12 championship game. So that's, I mean, it could happen if Missouri wins. The other option for them is if they got a split national championship deal through the AP poll, because the BCS championship goes to the winner of that game, but the AP doesn't have to vote it the same way. And so you've got USC hoping for that potential possibility, as well as Texas, if they were out of the BCS championship game, hoping for that possibility as well.
UCLA desperately trying to get a stop and get the ball back here. The only problem with that split national championship, you would have to have guys voting in the AP poll saying, I'm going to make a statement about the whole process, and it's the only reason I'm going to vote this way. And I don't think that poll is the proper venue for them to do that.
Both cases are pretty much of a long shot. But and as it turns out, I mean, if they don't get into that BCS championship game, you're looking at a matchup against another 1-loss team, the champions of the Big Ten, Penn State, who has not played since November 22nd. We saw them in their last game, and they'll be a good challenge for USC. That'll be an interesting game. Under Pete Carroll, USC is 5-0 versus the Big Ten, and the average score has been 36-14. That's why a lot of people think, you know, oh, here we go again, another Rose Bowl, another Big Ten team, same old, same old. But I don't know. I think that one might be a little bit more of a challenge than some people out here. Not necessarily Pete Carroll or anybody in the Trojan staff, but some people out here might think. I think another issue that you've got to take under consideration, you watch this second down play for the Trojans.
Johnson back in the ball game at tailback. He's got enough for a first down. The clock continues to burn with UCLA trailing 28-7.
You know, another issue that you have to consider is if Steve Sarkisian is in fact going to be named as the head coach at Washington next week, which most people believe, then you got to wonder, okay, does that mean he's not here to coach the bowl game? How does that change the play calling, the offensive coaching, assignments, and everything for USC as they prepare from this point to get ready to play Penn State in the Rose Bowl? So, you know, it'll be different. I'm sure they've got a plan in place. Right now, John Morton, who is the wide receiver coach, is also considered the passing game coordinator, and I'm sure it would kind of pass to him to get through this period of time before Pete names somebody to replace Sarkisian if, in fact, he is leaving. But it would change. You know, it'd definitely be a different scenario for them from a coaching standpoint and play calling standpoint than what they've had so far.
Last 2 or 3 drives for USC have just been methodical marches. Sanchez throwing on the run. He does that very, very well. A pass incomplete, however, intended for David Ausberry.
You know, I have one memory, and the last time Penn State and USC played, I was in the ballgame in 1981. It was a Fiesta Bowl, and in that case, it was a little different because that was a situation where USC did not make it to the Rose Bowl, which they were shooting for. And there was some dejection and some disappointment that they had fallen to the Fiesta Bowl. Of course, it was a great trip for us to get out of State College in the winter and go somewhere warm. And Marcus Allen had won the Heisman Trophy. He was a senior. They had great talent. And we got after him. I mean, I think in that case, we wanted the game more than they did. And it showed on the scoreboard.
And you see that quite often. The team that wants to be there the most sometimes is the one that's going to win that game. They play with more emotion.
Holding, number 71 on the offense, 10-yard penalty, Replay third down.
Looked like they got the first down, but Charles Brown, the left tackle, called for holding, so it comes back. Well, this will be another 11-win season for Pete Carroll, another Pac-10 title. He continues his dominance over UCLA. He has done everything you could possibly ask for during his tenure at USC.
Here's an amazing thing. Think about this with Pete Carroll now. In his first 18 games as the head coach at USC, he lost 8 times. Okay?
This is a draw play to McKnight. He's inside the 40, but no further.
Now, the next group of 8 losses for him, he still hasn't had yet. He's only lost 7.
That's right.
Since that time. Yeah, that's pretty remarkable. I mean, in an age and a time in college football where dynasties aren't supposed to happen anymore, 6 years in a row of just superb football and domination in a conference and really in college football. 6 straight top 4 finishes, 11-win seasons, BCS bowls, 2 national championships. Pretty tough.
And he has a great recruiting class every year. They're going for it on 4th and long. Sanchez throwing. It's complete, but it's not going to be enough for a first down as Turner makes the catch, but covered up at the 30-yard line. At the 30-yard line, Kraft comes out throwing. On first down, while we were away, Austin catches 12-yard, or make it an 8-yard pass from Kevin Kraft. It will be second down, UCLA. Three-man rush. They drop 8 into coverage, and Kraft misses the pass wide to the near side of the field.
Well, so far, anyway, for Kevin Kraft, he's avoided the interception, and that is, I'd say that's been a good thing. But really very little offensive output for the second week in a row. We've been out here on the West Coast to watch USC play, and back-to-back offensive teams have just found it nearly impossible to move the football on.
They only had that one bad half of football against Oregon State, and that is going to cost them a shot at a national title, presumably. Let's go to Holly Rowe. Holly?
Well, before this game even started, some of the USC defensive players, linebackers, defensive ends, and linemen came out and were kind of gathered around the UCLA. They had a big huddle out there, said a few words, and then started a chant, "There's no place like home." These seniors are playing for their 4th straight Rose Bowl. They feel very comfortable here. And guys, they actually have a picture of the Rose Bowl up in the USC locker room. They feel like this is their home after all, too.
All right, Holly. Will Harris lays a lick on Kevin Kraft, who tried to run. Yeah, they've been very comfortable here. They've been very comfortable everywhere, for that matter.
Yeah, one of those years in the last 4, they played in a non-traditional Rose Bowl matchup, the national championship game against Texas, in which Vince Young put on a dazzling performance in the 4th quarter. But yeah, this has been their home away from home, just a few miles down the road.
Averill Spicer with a big hit on Kraft on that last play. Near the conclusion of today's game, we'll select a Chevrolet player of the game from each team, and Chevrolet will make a $1,000 contribution to each university's general scholarship fund.
Last year, this ball game was 24-7, a USC victory over at the Coliseum. 28-7 right now.
Kraft hangs in there, but throws behind the intended receiver, Nelson Rosario. Boy, when Kraft misses, he misses big time. 9 out of 24 for 61 yards is Kevin Kraft. And you just saw Rick Neuheisel talking to Rosario, and from his body language, he was telling him he ran the wrong route, or at least didn't run it properly. They'll let this one go into the end zone. Final week of the season, the race for the Heisman is coming down to the wire. When we come back, we'll hear from our resident expert and get his thoughts on what will decide the finish. By Southern California, they have the ball back. And it's not long till the Heisman. Todd, you get a vote. You've been narrowing it down a little bit. These have been the last four for quite a while. Does Colt McCoy get hurt because he's not playing today?
Well, I think he probably does. Now, in my mind, he does not, because you know, he had nothing to do with the fact that those other guys get to play one more week. You know, Graham Harrell doesn't get to play this week either, but Sam Bradford, a big stage tonight. Tim Tebow just finished playing a huge game in the win over Alabama. But, you know, Colt McCoy, I think, still is right up there. I mean, he was not only the team's leading passer, but also the team's leading rusher. And in terms of who did more for their football team, boy, it's hard to argue against him. So I really think, even though he didn't play, I think he's still right in there. And I think the other thing is, you know, his team, they got jumped by Oklahoma last week by the computers and the BCS formula. Yep. And they're probably going to get jumped this week by Florida, who is under them in the BCS ranking. But by beating #1, they're probably going to jump into that top 1 or 2 spot. So I think Colt McCoy is he's still very, very deserving.
You can make the argument that Texas had the best loss, the way they lost to Texas Tech. I mean, if you want to go in that direction. And Colt McCoy certainly being his team's leading rusher, that's a benefit for him as we see Sanchez continuing to run this offense and refusing to give up. And there's a late hit on UCLA. Been several of those, and Sanchez, look at this, he's one of the first guys down to help make sure his team doesn't retaliate.
Well, I don't quite understand why Sanchez would necessarily still be in the ball game right now.
After the play, personal foul, late hit, number 40 on the defense, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
That's on Akeem Ayers, who's been involved in a little testy stuff before, and this is obviously a late hit.
Yeah, same thing, diving on late onto the pile, and that's twice that's happened to Ayers. But you know, I'm a little surprised by two things. Number one, I'm a little surprised that Rick Neuheisel has kind of conceded this football game. There were a couple fourth downs where they chose to punt and not go for it, and just kind of saying, you know what, we're just content to keep it like this. And then in him doing that, I'm a little surprised that Pete Carroll has kept Mark Sanchez in the ball game.
Yeah. But Johnson buried in the backfield for about a 5-yard loss on the draw. Sanchez, another very solid game, 18 out of 32, 2 touchdowns to pick.
Nice quarterback. I really like his mechanics. He's got a great arm. I like how fluid he is moving out of the pocket. He's got very active feet, good balance. There's Mitch Mustaine, who would be the next quarterback to go in for USC. But Sanchez's brother Nick played quarterback at Yale, and had another brother who was an offensive lineman at DePaul.
Now look ahead. Sanchez a Heisman candidate next year?
I think so. I think he'll start the season as one of the guys that's right up there. He plays in a pretty high-profile program, high-profile offense. And certainly I think he'll be a guy that people are talking about right now. Mark Sanchez started out hot, 8 of 9 in the first quarter, had a touchdown. Ran into a little bit of a dry spell early in the second quarter, but for the most part has been right on the mark. Not a lot of pressure on him. He's been able to survey the defense, survey the coverage, and pick open targets. And very accurate throwing the football.
Facing a 3rd and 13 here. Plenty of time. Deep out and nearly picked. Good job by Michael Norris, who once again right in the flight path of that ball. One more Heisman question. Have you narrowed it down beyond those 4? Or are you down to 2 yet?
I'm down to 3 right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm down to 3 of those 4. So
the inscrutable
two of them are playing today, and one of them's not. So if you want to try to figure it out from there, go ahead.
I'm not that good. And UCLA getting nothing out of the kick return back to the 7-yard line. ESPN on ABC College Football presented by Best Buy. 28-7 USC over UCLA. Bruins take over inside their 10, and Southern California's second half dominance, 192 points to 22 in the second half. They have just killed people. There's a trick play that works for a couple. Trick plays aren't going to work at this point in the ball game with 3:13 to go. Just thought I'd pass that little piece of information along. Let's take a look at our Pacific Life game summary and look at the yards. 460 to 128. It was even worse for that than when it was a ball game. And the 2 turnovers by USC only got hurt by one of them.
Yeah. And not that it would have changed the outcome of the game, but that last stat on there, the penalties, 11 for UCLA. Really some critical penalties at critical times that hurt their cause to that.
Dominique Johnson makes the catch. Significant gain up across the 25 to the 28-yard line for a first down.
I would really like to have seen this USC defense have a chance to play one of those prolific offenses that everybody talks about this year, whether it be Oklahoma or Texas or even Florida, who beat Alabama today in the SEC championship.
It's a good-looking group.
Yep, they are. Very impressive. They have fun playing, and you notice that on the practice field. They have fun practicing football. They're guys that love football. Pete Carroll and his staff make the practices enjoyable, high energy, very spirited. They compete every day, and when they go, they do a lot of good versus good, or first-team offense against first-team defense, and they compete at it really hard every single day.
Kraft throws behind his man, incomplete. That could have been another easy pick. Mawaluga couldn't get down and take it. But one thing you have to understand, this defense is so dominant, and they have played a lot of relatively weak offenses. Very difficult to maintain your concentration and your energy for 4 quarters. You're going to give up some cheap plays, some cheap scores. But if you're right, if you could see them against somebody who could score a lot of points and have them fired up from the get-go, that would be interesting.
Well, and that's the interesting thing. I mean, you mentioned it earlier. Really, outside of one bad quarter, really, against Oregon State, not necessarily the whole half, but one really bad quarter and a couple funky plays in the Stanford game.
There's a pick. That pass got there very, very late, and Drew McAllister gets his 3rd interception of the season. And that's a look that's been on Rick Neuheisel's face a lot this year. Another interception for Kevin Kraft. Stay tuned for the Dr. Pepper Big 12 Championship. Chase Daniels leads the Missouri Tigers against Sam Bradford and the 2nd-ranked Oklahoma Sooners. Will Missouri derail Oklahoma's trip to the BCS Championship game? We'll find out tonight. The Big 12 Dr. Pepper Championship game coming up in less than 15 minutes.
Well, I think this USC team is the most dominant defense that I've seen all year. And I think that that Oklahoma offense is the most prolific offense that I've seen all season. I love their balance as you look at the 2 quarterbacks in the ball game tonight. The thing that Oklahoma has that some people talk about, but not everybody, is I think they've got a great offensive line. And that allows them to not only throw with effectiveness, but run it, to run power football, to run spread offense. They do a little bit of everything, and it all starts with their front 5 up front.
It is one of the few offenses that's versatile enough to do that. You see it so often. You build a team around that offensive line. If you want to run the ball, there are 5 guys who are road graders who can really get it done, but they don't pass block very well, and vice versa. And you're right. I think that is by far the best offensive line I've seen this year. I think running the ball, the best offensive line was Alabama.
Yeah. Yep. Where Alabama runs into a problem, and obviously it probably happened today, is when they get into must-pass situations and third down situations. That's just not their real strength. They're a better passing team on early downs, and you get behind in the fourth quarter, you got to be able to air it out a little bit.
That's Derek Simmons walking very, very slowly. Our Chevrolet players of the game: Mark Sanchez from USC and Khalil Bell from UCLA. In recognition of their efforts, Chevrolet will make a $1,000 contribution to each university's general scholarship fund. And Pete Carroll will have done it again to UCLA. Lost only once in this rivalry since he came to USC. Tyler is the tailback. Mustaine is in the quarterback. Tyler on the toss. And USC will not have to run another play. It's got to be disappointing for USC to see all the talent out there and wonder what might have been. Just sometimes when you're that good, things can get away from you. You don't concentrate as much. That may be what happened against Oregon State.
One bad quarter, and in all likelihood cost him a shot at another national championship.
Pete Carroll, another 11-win season. Congratulations on that and the Pac-10. They qualify for the Rose Bowl. The 7th straight, either won outright or shared, the most ever in conference history, and Holly's with Pete.
Coach Carroll, you guys get another Pac-10.
That during this season, I want to enjoy this. We had a really guys did a great done. Could have been a lot more on the board if we just finished a couple drives. But it was a great day for us, and it was fun to be out here playing football. I'm glad it looked like it looked. The spectacle was really cool. I'm glad this.
Your quarterback Mark Sanchez just took such a pounding today, but kept on going. How do you describe his effort?
I thought it was a great day for him to compete and battle all the hits and stuff. He got hit late 3 times today, you know, and battled back on all hammering the football and competing. I thought beautiful day.
All right, thanks so much.
We apologize for the technical problems we had with that on-field mic in the interview with Pete Carroll, but thank you, Pete, and thank you, Holly. Our final score here at the Rose Bowl: USC 28, UCLA 7. For a wrap-up of this game, catch us on ESPN News in just a few minutes. For Todd Blackledge, Holly Rowe, and our entire crew, this is Mike Patrick. So long from Los Angeles. Now stay tuned for a complete post-game report after this word from our ABC stations.
The State Fair of Texas provides a background